Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for saying I won't attend Christmas if my aunt and uncle will be there, resulting in them being uninvited? When I was 17, I got pregnant and my parents kicked me out. My aunt and uncle offered me their guest room, but after a few weeks, they sat me down and said they wanted my baby. I then got a guilt trip of pro-life propaganda, mixed with telling me I couldn't take care of a kid, and that they let me live with them for free, and basically said that I should give them my kid because of all this. I said yes, because I was worried they'd kick me out if I said no. I sat my A-levels, and when my student loan came through, I just left and went to my chosen university, a few hours away. I was about 7 months pregnant at the time. I tried to talk to them about it, but they wouldn't listen, so I wrote them a letter instead. By the time I arrived, I had a ton of messages from them, upset with / mad at me for how I handled things. I got a job, gave birth, and ended up delaying university, but I ultimately got my degree, and my daughter and I came out the other side of it. I went straight from university to a career, all based in this town a few hours from my hometown. In this time, I had in-person contact with my younger siblings, who have met my daughter, but this has only been a couple of times a year, and I have fairly regular phone calls with my grandparents, who have never met my daughter in person. I went back to my hometown once, 3 years ago, for my father's funeral, without my daughter, and I ended up getting into drama with both my mother, and my aunt/uncle, and I've not been back since, despite my siblings and grandparents encouraging me to come. My daughter is turning 7 this month. Nan said that I have to come see them this Christmas. I hesitated, and Nan asked what the issue is. I explained that I was worried I'd run into my mother, uncle, or aunt. Nan said that mom hasn't been invited to Christmas since she kicked me out, and that if my aunt and uncle were an issue, she'd uninvite them, too, as she wants to see both me and my daughter at Christmas. I said if that's how she feels then I'll do my best for us to be there. However, in the few days since that phone call with Nan, all hell has broken loose. My aunt and uncle have contacted me and said that I'm a being petty vindictive witch for getting them uninvited from Christmas, and my cousin, their daughter, sides with them saying I'm being a C for being upset with them nearly 8 years later, and using my daughter's status as the only great-grandchild and the only relative my grandparents have never met, as a bargaining chip to get my way. My siblings are torn between feeling that I should be allowed to state my feelings and that it was Nan's choice to uninvite them, and saying that I could have just left it alone, and trusted that if there was an issue, people would intervene before it got ugly, and that I should tell Nan to re-invite them and apologize to them for getting them temporarily booted. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, it sounds like Nan suggested it, not you. If you don't feel comfortable around these people and your Nan knows that, she has every right to disinvite whoever she wants. And to add, Nan is an amazing lady. She clearly misses and loves OP, and sees how big of idiots her kids are and won't bow to them. Cheers to all the Nans that can see their own kids BS and are the opposite from entitled/narcissist. Give her lots of love OP. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, honestly, it sounds like the only reason they gave you a place to stay, was so they could essentially steal your child. They were trying to make it like you owed them and your daughter was payment. Good on you though, they and anyone who agrees with them are toxic. They did basically say, that was their motivation for taking me in, and heavily implied that if I terminated/adopted her out to other people, I'd have to find somewhere else to live. Not the a-hole. Your aunt and uncle made their choice to be ugly, these are the consequences. It's not like you asked Nan to uninvite them, she clearly doesn't want them there either. I wouldn't sweat this if I were you. They are totally bullying OP because Nan is unwavering. Oh, to be a fly on Nan's wall and watch her with her back up to these people, defending her granddaughter. OP is definitely not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that I won't spend Christmas with her if my brother is involved? Okay, I know it looks bad but please just hear me out. I'll start by saying I absolutely hate my brother. He is a person that thinks the world owes him stuff. He will lie and steal from everyone, including his family. My mom is the type that says forgive and forget. No matter what he does, she always winds up forgiving him within a few months. Then he repeats himself. My mom knows I don't follow that and have, in fact, disowned him from my life as much as possible. This year during COVID, my grandma let him and his pregnant girlfriend stay with her. They wound up trashing her house, not paying rent, and then just a month before the baby was born, stole my disabled grandma's new truck and moved out without warning. This is just the simple version, but yeah. I hate him, and I want nothing to do with him. My mom called me up today to tell me the Christmas plans and told me how much she is looking forward to having the new baby there. I tell her that I won't be coming if he is there. She tries pulling the, I'm your mother, so you and your brother should all be here. But I still tell her no. She can either have my brother, or me. I also threatened that if she tried to trick me into coming while he is there, then I will disown her as well. Not the first time she's done something like that. I won't hold it against her for picking him and the baby. I'm fine with it. I just will not be around my brother at all. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, you're setting healthy boundaries. Just make sure you remind your mom that you love her. Your decision has nothing to do with her and everything to do with your brother. OP, where's your grandma spending Christmas? 'Cause personally, I'd spend it with her. I reckon grandma would love that too. Definitely. There's loads more options as well. I don't get on with my sister either, so if she spends Christmas with my mother, I tend to not go, and see if my mums wants to spend Boxing Day together instead. Means everyone gets family time and all the leftovers get eaten. Not really. We don't live in the same town. So, if I don't go spend a week with her, I won't be able to have Christmas with her. I also don't have a car, so it's not like I can visit her whenever. Not the a-hole. But, as awful of a person your brother is, you shouldn't have given your mother an ultimatum. She can either have my brother, or me. I also threatened that if she tried to trick me into coming while he is there, then I will disown her as well. Not the first time she's done something like that. Just don't go, period. Spend Christmas with your grandma if possible. By the way, was it her mother or mother-in-law's truck that they stole? Did he face any consequences on that? Would you want to spend time with a person where your first instinct on seeing them is to attack them? I've already been tricked like that before into seeing him, and I won't have it happen again. Also, no, nothing could be done to my brother. It's complicated. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for screwing my son over, in favor of his wife? My adult son Bob is lazy, arrogant, entitled, abusive, know-it-all. I tried to parent him, but my wife always threatened to divorce me and take all the kids anytime I discipline him, lecturing, grounding, taking away privileges. I know I'm not innocent in this, but Bob has turned out insufferable. 8 years ago, Bob, then 26, married Beth, 19. They had twins right away, so I gave him a glorified job that he's still doing. I gave Beth an entry-level position a couple years later, and she quickly worked her way up. She's indispensable now. 3 years ago, I asked her to go to school to learn the technical side of the business. She's doing amazing and will even finish early. Bob didn't want Beth to go to school, but I pressured and bribed to get him to accept. I offered an extra allowance, and told him that she could help him run the company after I pass. I might be the a-hole because I lied. I have zero intention of giving him the company. Bluntly, he's incompetent. I've been grooming Beth in the background to succeed me. I'm secretly planning to retire in the next 5 to 6 years after Beth is established. Bob gave up his dream job to stay and work here. Which I know is bad. But he was expecting me to fund his career, so am I still the bad guy? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Bob sounds painful. The wife should kick him to the curb and run the company herself, lol. If I'm honest, I don't think their marriage will survive if she accepts. But my grandkids will be better off if she's running the company. Good. Nothing worse than a parasite in the family business. Does she know you'd have her back if she leaves your son? It might well be the only reason she's still with him. She might think it could put her career and stability of her kids in jeopardy. She doesn't like to talk about her marriage and I haven't pushed. I should tell her that if she leaves, she'd have an apartment for her and the kids. It's where my other daughters stayed growing up. Not the a-hole. Bob is a controlling leech. It's almost fitting that he gave up his dream job, which has been, where for the last 8 years, after trying to hold her own career back. Make sure Beth herself knows everything well in advance, and is going to have time to plan and figure out how to handle this. Edit, to answer a couple of questions. 1. Bob wanted to be a music producer. 2. I haven't directly told Beth that I will support her if she leaves, but you'll have convinced me I should. 3. Yes, I've talked to a lawyer. A whole team of them. Legally, he's entitled to nothing. If he fights it, my lawyers are better than his mother's lawyers. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my grandparents not to bother visiting me and my baby, after they have ignored me for the last 28 years? I am the first grandchild of my grandparents. They have always lived in a different state to me, and I've met them a handful of times. They have never really made an effort to be involved in my life. I've never received as much as a card from them. I've never asked for anything and I don't expect anything. I'm not sure why they haven't been involved in my life, but I'm 28 now and I don't care about it. When I became pregnant earlier in the year, my dad said I should call and tell them. So I did, because I love my dad, and I thought it would be nice. But I wish that I hadn't. During the phone call, she said word for word, "Sorry, I haven't been in touch, you know how things are." Well, no, I don't actually, but yeah, thanks for ignoring me for 28 years. When my son was born, and I announced it, I got a message from my grandmother. It said congratulations etc. She complained about her hip and said they would come and visit, as soon as possible. I basically grey-rocked her, and said that it wasn't necessary. If they were to visit, I would prefer it to be sometime next year, as I'm trying to establish a routine with my baby. And of course, pandemic. She didn't reply to me, and then on my birthday last week, she sent me another message saying they were coming in January, and to hug the baby for us. Now I understand that they're excited, but I don't appreciate people who have had literally nothing to do with me expecting to now have a part in my life, simply because I've had a baby. It feels fake, it feels like I'm not enough, and like all they care about, is that I've made them great-grandparents. And quite frankly, I don't care much about them. I had a really rough upbringing and they know that. They never checked on me or asked me if I was okay or needed anything. I don't feel obligated to have a relationship with them. My dad has said the way they have ignored me is BS. Should I just let them visit? Note they would not be staying with me. So, am I the a-hole for telling them to not visit me? Editor to add, I agree it's confusing that I called them in the first place. I felt kind of pressured for my dad to do it. He had asked me and then kept pestering me about it. I did it without really thinking it through and the potential consequences. I never expected her to want to visit. I regret calling them. I have 2 younger siblings from my dad's remarriage. They have gotten slightly more attention than me growing up. If they came to visit, they would have the opportunity to see them as well. When I was born, they told my father that my mother was a witch who would burn in hell, and that they hated my name. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. People do not deserve to see you or your child. They earn the right to be in your life, which these people did not do. Yes, and can we talk about grandparents' right? I think it's a privilege, not a right for them to visit. It's your baby. No one needs the relationship with them, especially if they are narcissistic or using you. Bottom line is, you are never entitled to visit, grandparents-wise. Not the a-hole. They've had 28 years to care. It's a bit late now. Frankly, just ignore them. Don't engage with them. Don't reply to messages or anything. If they finally manage to ask you why you've been ignoring them, simply say, "Oh, you know how it is." I agree. However, I feel like Op unintentionally opened the door to this. "Hey, for your info, I'm having a baby, but I never want you to meet it or be part of our lives," is a confusing message, and not something I'd assume from the interaction as told by OP. To me, that would be an offer back into my life that the grandparents are taking me up on. I'm not saying that the grandparents aren't a-holes for neglecting OP their entire life, or for just assuming it's okay to come in January without asking, but I do think that a follow-up conversation between OP and them is warranted, so that they get the intended message before too much headache/heartache occurs. No a-holes here. The thing is, from their perspective, they hadn't heard from you in years. You reached out and called them to share your news about being pregnant. They potentially thought that you wanted to open to the door for a future relationship. That now you're becoming a mother, you wanted to also strengthen your relationship with them. It honestly sounds like they're just trying to be nice. That doesn't mean that you have to reciprocate, but I don't see how it would harm you to meet up once, let them take some photos, and then go on with your separate lives. It just seems bizarre otherwise. Like deliberately calling someone to tell them that you don't want to talk to them. If you felt this strongly about not wanting any sort of relationship, you shouldn't have called them in the first place, regardless of what your father wanted. P.S. Old people talk about their aches and pains. It's just what they do. And that's why I regret telling them I was pregnant. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.